Hello, BookTube, and this must be Thursday. Actually, it's Sunday, but I'm recording this for Thursday. And Forgotten Poets. Uh, Not necessarily forgotten writers, but writers that were poets that maybe have slipped through for a variety of reasons. And this week is Edmund Gosse, Sir William Edmund, or is it Edmund William Gosse? One or the other. um, 1849 to 1928. He's on my favorite essay list. Uh, and he was very influential in the late 19th century in the critical world, as well as into the 20th century. He has been deconstructed like everybody has. He was faulty in his assessments a lot of times and not that accurate, but that doesn't deter him for me. He was very interesting. He was the son of Gosse. I'm blanking on his father's name. Was a naturalist, a famous naturalist, who has come up as well in my Britain and Pictures series, Shelf Tour. You see, this author and many others dovetail all the way through. They intersect lives, careers of so many people of the period. Goss is best known, I suppose, for his father and son autobiography. Everybody applauds that a lot. Like it's held up as great. I don't think it's his best work, but it's his critical material. That is his essays, which are in probably about a dozen books. Uh, Books on the table, more books on the table. He's done biographies of a number of writers, Thomas Gray, you name it. And he was influential at times in encouraging writers and promoting them. Siegfried Sassoon, W.B. Yeats. He's also related to Evelyn Waugh, I think, through his mother's side. It literally goes on and on, the connections that he has with everybody, well, with everybody else. But he also wrote poetry, and I have a collection here of his poems. Um, it's called New Poems. I think it's his fifth book of poetry. Again, I do apologize if I missed a few of these things, like accurate facts, so forth. But there's a very good biography. He's a very interesting person. If you're interested in essays, book essays about authors, you for this period, he's one to me. He's one of my favorite ones. Again, you don't go to it as an academic sense. You go to it to familiarize yourself with the author first of all and their thoughts, and the style of writing, the prose style. And I know one subscriber out there. I've sent him down many rabbit holes, and this was one of them. And he's been reading a biography of Edmund Gosse. I think he first read a biography of his father, which is great too. I've not read any biography of his father, but the Edmund Gosse is just, yeah, interesting. He like I say, he had to break away from his father, who was very domineering. He worked at the British Museum, and he actually he worked at the library, in the British Library there, and then also the Library of, I think, the what was it called, the Parliament, Library of Parliament. He was very influential there until I think he worked well into, or maybe the beginning or through the First World War as well. He's just very influential. He had a lot of power in the critical world. He also supported artists, sculptors, and this book is dedicated to one that he became very close friends with. It's dedicated to Hamo Thorncroft, a sculptor, and he wrote a lot on art and sculpting as well, and he promoted authors. Like, yes, there's issues with what he wrote, but yeah, I'm not going to deal with any of that. That can be found in biographies and so forth. I just like his writing. This book is published by C. Keegan Paul and Company in 1879, London. It's like those other small ones, but it's not a small edition like the ones that I showed of Austin Dobson. Um, actually, this I'm not sure. This might be. No, I think it. Well, let's say it's his fourth, fifth, or sixth book of poetry that he published, and he did quite a few. He's not a great poet in any shape of your imagination. There's not a huge depth to his poetry, but I enjoy it, and I'll read. I'll see if I can read the whole thing. It's not that long. It's called Wintergreen. Today the winter woods are wet and chill with airs that miss the sun. The autumn of the year is done, its leaves all fallen, its flower stars set, its frosty hours begun. Should last year's gold narcissus yearn for next year's roses, oh how vain. No brief dead flowers arise again, but each sweet little life in turn must shout and bloom and wane. Sweet had the years that slipped so fast, brought you too soon to me too late. How had we garnished our no, how had we gnashed our teeth at fate, and wandered down to death at last, forlorn, disconsolate. Surely before the stars were sure, before the moon was set in heaven, your unborn soul to mine was given, your clear white spirit, rare and pure, for me was formed and shriven. Ah, surely no time ever was when we were not, and our soul's light made those cold spaces infinite that lie between the years like glass, seen only in God's sight. However, it be my one desire, if chance has brought to face, or if the scheme of things found place, to store our twin hearts, light and fire, in strange foreseeing grace. However, it's a contraction of however, it be for us at last. The woodland pathways are not dark, new lights are on the boughs and bark, and in the sunless rain-shot east we hear a mounting lark. And just to say, he's not talking about a woman here. I doubt very much. But yeah, it's just and also too. On that topic is he was a champion and friends with John Addington Symonds, another essayist that's on my list. He wrote a 7-volume sort of cultural of the Renaissance. It's hard to actually categorize that, but it's a really interesting work. He was also friends. This one's for Mark at Book Time with Elvis. He was also very close friends with Robert Louis Stevenson. They were childhood friends, and anytime Robert Louis Stevenson, I think, was anywhere near, he never, like him and his wife or family, they always stayed with Gosse, so they were very close. But yeah, so that's this week's Forgotten Poets. Edmund. Oh, so yeah, sorry, it's Sir Edmund William Gosse, not William Edmund Gosse. Sir Edmund William Gosse, because it's Edwin W. Gosse on the spine here. I should have just looked at that. But yeah, so there we go. And next week we'll have another one. And yeah, just as I say, these are sort of unknown. They're not top of the shelf poets, and I don't pretend they are. They're just fun reading and worth reading, I think. Still, take care, BookTube.